And so mom was telling me that you just recently started your cycle, right?
Yeah, it started about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Okay. And so I know, she kind of wanted me just to give you some more information about the menstrual cycle and what exactly it is and how it works, right? And so,
Right.
so how did that make you feel? I know it can be a little scary sometimes. And before you continue, I just want you to know that this is a safe space. So anything that you share is between me and you. And so you can just tell me anything, and I am all ears, and you don't have to worry about anything getting out. Okay?
Okay. It made me feel scared. I didn't really know what was happening. I thought something was wrong. So I was about to cry until I called my mom and she said it was normal and it happens to all girls.
You're right. It does happen to all girls. And so, where were you at the time?
I was at home.
At home? Okay, well, at least you were at home. So I'm sure it made it a little better.
After I called my mom, she told me to go in her room and get something called, I think, a pad, and she told me what to do with it. She told me when she got home.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Okay, so we said that we're going to talk about a period, what it is, how it works, and then symptoms that come with the period. And we're going to talk about how to deal with them. And then after, we'll talk about products that you can use when you're on your period called sanitary products. Does that sound okay to you? Good, okay. And I also want to let you know that you are totally fine to interrupt me at any point, okay? So if you have any questions or if you're not understanding anything, just stop me and let me know and we'll pick it up from there. And so I know your mom was saying that she had some books and some videos that she made you watch. And so what do you remember from the video and books?
Well, the video was very short and kind of confusing. I think I remember how it said that it's something that happens to all girls, like what my mom said, and that you bleed for a couple days or something like that. And like your stomach starts to hurt. I remember my friend told me that when her sister got hers, her stomach really hurt bad. Is it supposed to be like that?
Right. Okay, that's very true, Mariah. It does happen to all girls. And you do bleed for a couple days. And yes, you do get cramps, unfortunately. So they kind of suck, but we're going to talk about ways that we can, help them when they do come. Exactly right. Okay. So it seems like you know a good bit, Mariah. So I'm confident that by the end of our talk, you'll be more than ready to go next time your period comes. And so, Mariah, what a menstrual cycle is, it's also known as a period, and it happens when a girl bleeds through her vagina for a couple of days every month until she reaches a certain age in the future. And so this just means that she's ready to have a baby. And so what happens is that an ovary, which is located around your pelvis, and this is your pelvis area, it releases a seed that goes through the fallopian tube. And I have these hang ups right here that you can take a look at as well. See, this is your ovary, this is your fallopian tube. And so that seed travels down the fallopian tube, and that means it's ready to be fertilized. And so fertilization is when a girl's egg joins with something called sperm, which comes from a guy's part. And that's why it's extremely important that when a girl gets her period, she's very cautious because now when she has sex, she's able to have a baby. And so as her egg is being released, something called the lining of the uterus, which is right here. Can you see it good? Okay, good. And so that lining is being built up. And so if the sperm and the egg don't have anything to attach to, then that lining that is built up comes basically kind of like crashing down or sheds, and which is where the blood comes from. I know that was a lot of information. What can I help you understand?
So how does a boy's egg and a girl's egg come together?
Now remember, it's a girl's egg and a guy's sperm. And so that's why many people use a condom or other sources of protection when they have sex to keep the sperm and the egg from joining when they're not ready to have a baby.
I thought babies came from your stomach.
So I can see why you think that babies are in their mother's stomach, but not quite. So they're actually formed in their uterus. And so you remember when we talked about fertilization and the girl's egg attaching to the guy's sperm?
Mm-hmm.
And so that happens in something called the fallopian tube, which is connected to the uterus, which is right here. Does that make sense? Let me know if I'm losing you. I know it's a lot of information at once.
It makes sense.
But at least you know you're not alone, right? So we talked about what a period is, and now we're going to talk about how it works. So the menstrual cycle is a cycle that repeats itself about every 21 to 35 days, depending on your body. And so throughout the month, you'll go through about 4 phases: the menstrual, the follicular, ovulation, and then the luteal cycle. Unfortunately, we won't go into too much detail today because, we don't want to keep mom waiting. But I do have some handouts that I'll give you and you can take a look at, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may still have. And so during the menstrual phase is when your period happens. And it's usually during that phase when you start to have premenstrual, it's called premenstrual syndrome, or you might hear it called PMS, which is more common.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but I thought it meant period mood swings.
Well, you're not all the way wrong. You are pretty right, because PMS is, or period mood swings, is part of premenstrual syndrome. But the correct term is premenstrual syndrome. Since you've heard of it, can you tell me what it is?
Yeah, I think it's like when you get really moody because of your period. Like you can get sad 1 second, and then you can be happy, and then you get mad all over again.
Okay, that's true. And so cramps is one symptom that most girls experience. It's the most common symptom. And in addition to that, most girls also experience things like acne, bloating, gas, just feeling really tired or really achy. And another way you can tell that if your period is about to start is if you start feeling those symptoms. That's usually kind of a sign that it's nearby. And so when you first started, how did you feel? Were you achy? Did you have any cramps? Were you sad, moody, tired? How was it for you?
I felt pretty fine, actually. Well, that was until I went to the bathroom, but I didn't really feel anything.
Gotcha, yeah. And so you see, it is actually pretty normal not to feel anything too when it is your first time. Sometimes it just kind of happens. But I just want to prepare you for next time when it comes, so you can know what to do, or how to deal with some of these symptoms. But for cramps, there's many things that you can do. You can take a hot shower or bath. You can drink herbal tea or raspberry tea. You can use
Well, never mind. That might be a stupid question.
No, there are no stupid questions here. If you're asking about it, that means it's important to you, right?
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna ask, what do I use for the clear stuff?
Okay, and so just to make sure I answer your question, right? Are you asking what type of products that you would use for the discharge?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked, because we're actually about to get into that next. And so since you just started your period, you would start off by using pads. And so pads absorb blood by being placed in your underwear. And it's recommended that you change it at least every 3 to 4 hours, or when you just kind of start to feel uncomfortable or icky. And so with pad, you open it up like this. And mind you, I'm going to show you how to use it. And then after I'm done, I want you to do it. And so when you're by yourself, you'll be able to know how to do it. So you unwrap it like this, right? And all of them come with like a little sticky film on the outside. And so you would place the sticky part in the middle of your underwear. Let's say this is my underwear. And so you would place it in the middle of your underwear just like this. Make sure it's flat and make sure it's sticking. And then some pads have wings, some pads don't have wings. And the wings just help to keep, the excess blood from like getting in your underwear. And so with the wings, you would just push the wings back like this. And you would push the wings over your underwear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, boom. And so I'm going to open it back up and I'm going to have you try it. Sticking. So I'm just going to fold it back and I'm going to have you try it. Open it up just like that. Yeah. Take the wrapper off.
So this is my underwear.
Yeah.
And this is the front part.
Yes. Well, the sticky part is the part that you would lay in the middle of your underwear.
Okay.
Just like that. Yep. There we go. Good job. Okay. All right. And so now when it's time to dispose, this is our underwear, right? You would just take from the top, peel it back, and you would fold it, wrap it up just like this. And let's say you're changing your pad and getting a fresh new one. So you would put it in the wrapper. So this is the wrapper now. And put it in just like this, and you would just roll it up. And then most stalls, really every female stall should have like a little container. I'm pretty sure you've seen it before, like a little silver box, or it could be white. And you just open that up and you place it right in there and you're done. And so after that, just wash your hands and you're good to go. Okay, so let's go on to tampons. You probably wouldn't use these anytime soon. I'd say they're probably a little bit more advanced. But tampons absorb blood by being inside of the vagina. And so most people use these and they like them because when placed right, it kind of feels like there's nothing there. And you can also leave it in for a little bit longer. And so tampon, and let me not forget, the recommended time to keep it in is for about 4 to 8 hours. But 8 hours should really be the longest time, because if it's in for longer than 8 hours, you can get extremely sick. And so with these, you take the wrapper off. And so it's a little bit tricky. So when you're doing this, you can either sit down on the toilet with your knees spread apart, or you can put like one leg on the toilet. And I know some people, when they're first starting out, they sometimes even use a mirror because it is kind of hard finding the little entrance down there. But this is a diagram of a vagina. And so you see, this is the little, flabby part that's called clitoris. And then it's the vaginal opening right here. And so you want to put it in the vaginal opening. And sometimes it kind of helps maybe to even, either look at the mirror, or sometimes kind of try to push it in with the tampon, kind of like feel around with the tampon. And so this, you would put it in this opening right here, right? And you would push it in with your finger. And so as you push it in, it inserts into your vagina. And so this part will come off, and so it would be inserted in your vagina. And so sometimes you may have to push it in a little bit longer. You may have to push it in a little bit more because sometimes it might not be all the way in, because when it's not all the way in, it does feel a little bit uncomfortable. And if you have to do that, then that's fine. And so when you're ready to take it out, then you would just pull this little string, just tug on it, and it usually just comes right out. And let's say you are changing your tampon for another tampon, then you would just put it in this wrapper right here, and that same little trash box that we talked about in the saws, you would put it in there, or if you're at home, just throw it in the trash. And now let's move on to panty liners. So panty liners are much like pads, but they're just smaller and thinner. And you would use these for like your discharge days that we talked about. You remember that?
Yeah.
The clear
The
liquid?
clear
Yep. Okay, Mariah, you've done excellent. So how do you feel about using them on your own? And of course, it's normal not to have it all the way yet. It might take a little bit of getting used to. That's perfectly fine.
I think I can do it. I think I just have to actually do it again to see how everything, I feel about everything.
Gotcha. And I'm sure you can ask mom, and I'm sure she'll be, available to help you out too if you need it. And you can also, go online, and there's many videos that explain how to use the products for girls your age. So I'm sure that will probably help a lot. And so I know we covered a lot today. So just to recap, we covered what the menstrual cycle is. We covered how it works. We covered symptoms that come with it. We covered like how to deal with them. And so Mariah, my question is, do you have any other questions about it, or what can I help you answer? Or what is something that you need a little bit more clarity on?
I don't think I have any questions.
You sure?
Yeah, I think I understand.
Well, that's great to hear, Mariah. I'm very pleased to hear that. But remember, it does come and there is a little bit of fear. That is totally fine. Just remember everything we've talked about today. And also make sure you feel Momming, okay? So she can help you out as well. And so I just want you to know that periods are a normal part of a girl's life, so there's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about. It's something that every girl will go through, and it just means that you are becoming a beautiful, young, excellent, smart young lady. So
thank you.
You're welcome.